What's up, everybody? The long anticipated return of Doubling Down with myself, Colin Sheehan. Been quite a while since we've been able to jump on and do my favorite show. So I apologize to all my loyal viewers, as it's just life's gotten in the way. We do this part time and for fun, Vinny, right? So
Yep.
sometimes the schedule gets in the way and we just do the best we can. So happy to be back. Happy to welcome back old friend Vinny Blonde. Vinny, we're already more than halfway through the ride to the Kentucky Derby already, if you can believe it. You're not as impressed with what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I there's been a couple. I mean, last Cornucopian or whatever for Baffert looked like a real contender last weekend. But yeah, overall though, I we've not been super impressed with what's come back from this crop. But hopefully, as we get into these 50-point races, we'll start picking up a little bit more.
Absolutely. We have a very special edition. I figure if I haven't been here for the people in so long, Vinny, we might as well give them a doubling down. So we're going to give you two doubles here within 30 minutes. We're not going to extend it out. We're going to try and go quick for you. We're going to give you the daily double leading into the Fountain of Youth and the daily double leading into the Gotham at Aqueduct, the two 3-year-old prep races this weekend. So we will, in fact, start off at Gulfstream Park, Vinny. We have a race number 12 kicks off this daily double. It's 1 mile on the turf for 4-year-olds and up, fillies and mares. The Honey Fox, it's a grade 3. We have a field of 12. Vinny, I went through the fields once, and then I watched one replay of a horse, and I immediately fell in love, and I stopped there. So that horse for me was the number one, Tax Implications. Before I gloat over this horse, you were interested in number 7, Special Juan.
Yeah, I like tax implication. I'm sure you're going to cover all the reasons why. I think we both think tax implication is a big player here. I just thought this horse for Brandon Walsh was going to be a decent price. It's only her third race in North America. She won her first time out in an allowance race. Then she came back in a very tough race last October at Keeneland in the First Lady. And like you look at like she ran behind Gina Romantica, Chili Flag, Fluffy Socks. Like that was a tough field. And like that is not like she's not facing this caliber of horse today. Like as much as I like tax implication, like this field kind of has like a like 3-ish grade 2 type field, which I mean the Honey Fox is a grade 3, but just from the quality of runners in it, like there's no multiple time grade 1 winner in here. Um so I thought she fits. I think she should improve off that 7th place finish in the First Lady. So I think we see an improved effort, and she might not win. I just thought she was going to be a good price and just fit well with the rest of this field.
Yeah, and I will jump right to the number one, Tax Implications. This is a horse who, looking through it, RaceLens gives me some angles. That's what shows up green, Vinny. And you've actually been here for this one before. I've talked about it. I've given some winners on this one. So we're going to go right back to the well. It's not the only reason I picked Tax Implications, okay? But it's Chad Brown with a 4-year-old on the turf when the last race was a career best figure and then moving into the graded stakes. So the fact that the last race was a 104 and it's the best speed figure that you've gotten for Tax Implications shouldn't scare you away, because Chad Brown does absolutely incredible at this angle, hitting over 30%, a positive ROI of 139%. I believe that's over the course of the last year. The angle hits. It's what we got Fluffy Socks Belmont Chili Flag on Belmont weekend when I was there with you, which was one of
Yep.
my favorite hits of that weekend. The horse finished 4th in that last race at Del Mar in the grade 1, closing very nicely at 20-1. But what I want you to see here, Vinny, we're going to watch this replay, as I'm sure you have, I would hope, of Tax Implications on the stretch run here, because this horse just makes some moves that absolutely were very impressive to me. The number 7 on this day, closing like a freight train down the center of the track. I'm sorry, this was the rail run. He's in on the rail. That was what it was. Look at him pinched here in the inside of the 6. And then the closing kick here almost gets here. I mean, a little bit longer, and this horse is getting there. But I'm going to back it up again because I gave you the wrong information. But look at him here on the inside on the rail, behind horses, loaded right now. is going to think about going to the outside. That's a tight position on the inside. There is no space on the rail right now. Sees it a little bit and gets through. And then the closing kick that I see here on this horse from here to the finish line is absolutely a horse that I want on the turf closing. And that was absolutely the replay that I saw that has me as interested in tax implications. That combined with what I had mentioned. And then look at the speed figures, Vinny, looking at Equibase. We'll zoom in here for you. Last couple of races, right? I mean, this is a 4-year-old. It's mid 90s, right? Got like 89, 95, 99, 98, 100, 104 in the last race. Del Mar, obviously, the numbers might be a little bit overinflated, but I just see a trend where it's going upward. And when I saw that replay, what this horse has done on the turf, I absolutely want him on my ticket. And I decided as I went through the rest of them, I'm going to single. I'm just going to go with tax implications and try to get through. The price of 4-1 is good enough for me to get through here. What did you see, or why did you also include tax implications on your ticket?
I have been a fan of this horse from the beginning. She's beaten me a couple times with just coming close seconds, especially early back in her career. I really like this. So she's one of those horses that she always runs well. And like for the most part, you usually get an okay price, especially for a Chad Brown turf runner. You usually get an okay price on her. So it's hard. Like she's one of those horses when you look at it on paper, it's hard to rule her out because she always shows up. Um, I mean she's one of two that I'm using here. I actually really like the jockey change to Tyler. Because I do think like the replay in the last race, she kind of came from farther back, much farther back than I think she really wants to. And I think part of that was because Rosario was on her. I think Tyler will put her a little bit closer to the pace than like where if you look back at her form, I think she's a horse that wants to be like maybe like two and a half, 3 lengths off the lead most of the time. Whereas uh Joelle just put her, I think, too far back because she does have a very good kick, like you said. I think she was just too far back on this day, and I think Tyler's a little more aggressive early. That she'll just be in a better spot here. Is my
Yeah, and
hope.
also at the start here, the number 7 is who she is. Has
Mhm.
also evolved with some squeezing and some bumping there too. So maybe not by design to fall back that far, but there was also some
Yeah,
trouble at the beginning that you
right,
saw on
right.
your
And
pack.
I just think just the way the styles are. I mean, I feel like we all know Rosario is the one that wants to kind of come from the back and he closes and everybody kicks themselves because sometimes he takes the horse to the parking lot. The horse just misses. Whereas I feel like Tyler is a little just more aggressive early. So I think if as long as she breaks okay, she's going to be in a much better spot. And when you look at her past running lines, like a lot of her good races have been coming from like 3 back, 3.5 back. So I think that's where she'll be.
There was one other horse that I was really close to putting on my ticket. That was the number 9 Pounce. Just looking at the company this horse has been running in, grade 2, grade 1s, being competitive. Dylan Davis aboard for Mark Cassidy. The last race was in that Pegasus World Cup. That's ultimately almost why I kind of shied away from it. Was that the goal? And now this is, I just didn't know. There was obviously that good bullet workout on February 14th, 1 out of 22 going for 5 furlongs. Any interest in Pounce? I think you said that this 370,000 horse was maybe intriguing or no?
Yeah, she's another one where like her good races make her fit here. Her like I don't know. Towards the end of last year, she kind of fell off a little bit, and like I don't know. Like I feel like she was just one of those like I feel like I'm supposed to try to beat her here.
Hmm.
If she comes back and beats me, like shame on me here, because like she's. I remember you had her. It was Lake George. You loved her going into that Lake George. I remember, and
Yeah,
like
that's right.
yeah, you loved her in that race, and like she won. And then after that, though, I mean, she kind of just fell off. I mean, she did run good in the the Philly the Philly version of the Pegasus turf. But I don't know. I feel like she's really been. I feel like since she's really stepped into open company, she's kind of been spinning her wheels a little bit. So I'd like to see her get like a really good effort against non-restricted company before I start using her again on tickets. That was kind of my thinking of why I wasn't going to use her.
Makes sense. We'll move on to the marquee event on Saturday. That is your Fountain of Youth, a field of 8. And Vinny, we did a preview here on Trust the Profits earlier in the week, and I said very clearly on that show, look, Sovereignty's been the number one horse on my Derby top 10 list since the beginning of watching this horse run back in that really nice race at Churchill, which was very impressive. And you said to kick off this show, we don't really know what's great in this crop of 3-year-olds. So I'm really excited to see Sovereignty come back. I think Burnham Square, actually, this race sets up better for Burnham Square. I think this is a horse that's legit for the Derby, both from talent, but then also the style of running. We've talked about the horses that we've seen winning on these Derby preps have all been front-end horses, right? Well, who's your closer and who's going to maybe close into that hot pace on Derby Day? Burnham Square, I think, might be a horse that could do that. Those are the two marquee names, I think. You also get number 6, River Times, coming back off of a big effort. And the Todd Pletcher comes in with the 1 Gate to Wire. Where'd you end up in the 2025 Fountain of Youth?
I really like Sovereignty, and I've liked him since I remember I got a tip on this horse like while he was working before his maiden race. And I thought, like, when they turned for home on in that race on Travers Day, I thought he was going to catch him in his maiden. He finishes 4th, and then he comes back, and then he just misses against Prater, who ended up winning the wow, what is it? The Remsen, I believe. Did Prater win, or what race? I feel like Prater won some sort of stakes race.
I'll tell you in
He
2
ended up winning.
seconds.
Yeah, I think he won a stakes race. I could be mixing him up with another horse, but I don't think that was a bad loss if I remember correctly.
I think you're mixing them up. He hasn't run back since.
He hasn't run back since. And then his first time around 2 turns though in the Grade 3 Street Sense was amazing. I mean, he blew that field away his first time around 2 turns. So I'm excited to see what he does here, and he beat a decent field. I mean, Sandman went off the favorite last weekend. Just missed again, 3rd. Kind of seems like he's going to be that type. But even like Tastic has Derby points. He didn't run fantastic that race, but like he beat a solid group, it seems like, in the Street Sense. So I'm excited for him to come back. I'm not as high on Burnham Square as you are. I did say I was very against him in the Holy Bull. He beat me. Yeah, I know you guys liked him. I just don't think he's very good. We'll see. He's the one that if I'm gonna go against a short price in this field, he's the one I'm firmly against. I don't think he beat much in the Holy Bull. Then I think I said to you, River Times was very impressive last time. I'm curious how far that pedigree takes him. He's sired by McLean's Music. He got a mile very easily last time. I don't know how much more than a mile a horse sired by McLean's Music is going to get, but we'll see. But I used Sovereignty and River Times on my tickets. I almost used Gate the Wire. I really like the Pletcher duo here.
Yeah. So River Times, looking at McLean's Music, 2nd time route for McLean's Music. He's 13% over the last 5 years. So there's a drop off there, as you mentioned. I just decided that I couldn't use the 4 favorites on a ticket after, it was nice singling tax implications, but I had to drop one of them because I really think the 4 horses that you just mentioned are really the 4 that you probably need to figure out. So for my ticket, to be honest, Vinny, I love Sovereignty, but I was going against Tim. The only advice I gave to Tim, which is when he loved East Avenue, I said he's coming in off of a layoff, going against a horse like Built. Now's not the time to like him. I think he could be, at the time, he could be a Derby horse, but I told him, use caution in this race. And of course, it wasn't Built, it was Magnitude who went off and blew them away. But East Avenue off the bench obviously had an effort that was quite poor, considering what we were expecting from East Avenue. And my concern here for Sovereignty is, A, this isn't the goal, right? He's not coming into this year to win the Fountain of Youth. And right. B, this is the first race this year after having not raced since October. Now he's been working somewhat steadily. That was actually a concern Tim had looking at the workouts. None of them have been that great, and there's a little bit of spacing in there. And that for me is almost like a concern of using him at least here in the Fountain of Youth, and more preferring that I just see him come off and run well. running up to
Yep.
the bigger races, right? But then I also, when I put my ticket together, I said, I can't get beat by Sovereignty. He's my boy. So I kind of just threw him in, and I'll warn my viewers that there was a little bit of bias in adding Sovereignty to my ticket.
Yeah, I like just looking at this. My whole issue with this crop really is I feel like a lot of these top horses at the moment just like going a mile and a quarter is just not something that they really want to do. But then you get horses like Sovereignty who are bred fantastically. But like you look at like Gate the Wire, like he's sired by Munnings. Probably probably not really a realistic Derby horse
Well, hold
here.
on
Like
though. I'll
I
tell you, I listened to Sire Watch this morning on the Steve Bick show, and he talked about yes, Munnings on the dirt side, but that dam, the
Mhm.
whole side of that dam is stamina, and so
Yeah.
you've got dirt
So
with
like
Munnings and stamina with the
it,
dam side. So
and this was the same thing that like before Into Mischief the last probably like 5 or 6 years like really blew up into this like a top tier sire. That was always the knock on him was that he was a sprinting sire, and then all of a sudden they started being able to route. So like in like Munnings, I mean, I know a Munning sire horse won the Remsen at the end of last year. So I think we're getting there with both Munnings and McLean's music. It's just like, are we there yet? And I feel like a lot of these pedigrees for this Derby trail are pedigrees like that, where it's like in the past it's really heavily laid towards a sprinter, and then they like we'll see. I still feel more comfortable using a horse like Sovereignty, who just has a great pedigree for 2 turns.
big reason we're high on Burnham Square. We're going to go back to the last race. He's the number 7 here on the inside. Okay, I just want you to watch, Vinny, what they do with this horse as a 3-year-old, because it's pretty impressive. Jockey's going to pull him behind because you see he's in here on the inside with a lot of traffic in front of him, and the horse is obviously to his right. To be able to pull a horse back at this age, have him remain comfortable, swing to the outside, and track down this field. Now, I know you said that field maybe is where you had some skepticism as to who he beat this day, but I don't care who he beat. I think that this is a really nice move by Edgar Zayas and a horse that responded really well when he was in an uncomfortable situation. And so we'll take our shot with that move right there. As you can see, when he asks him, he swings out and he just eats up this field and comes flying down the middle of the stretch. We're kind of betting on that talent there. Obviously, the short price is tough to swallow, but I think Burnham Square is that's what we've seen that makes us really high on Burnham
Yeah,
Square.
the move was great. It was more of the quality of the race. I think was kind of where my question was, and it's kind of my same issue that I have honestly next time out with the Oaklawn circuit there with Coal Battle. I mean, great move. It was a great race, but I don't know like really how good it was. And like, yes, this race was earlier and it came back. The Holy Bull came back in 90, which for the Holy Bull isn't awful. I just don't think a 90 wins here. So I think he's got to not only improve off of that effort, but I think he's got to beat a much tougher group here today than what he beat last time out. Because like I think Ferocious went off the favorite in the Holy Bull, and like he's been a glorified sprinter since his debut. So him going a mile and a 16th as the favorite was like he's a heavy bet against. So he was the logical choice because he was the one horse in that field I thought wanted to go 2 turns and he got it. So it we'll see. If he beats me, I'm gonna have to take him seriously because that'd be 3 in a row, 3 in a row around 2 turns that he gets, which is more than 98% of this crop can say.
Exactly. I'll also use Gate to Wire. Impressed with the horses last time out. Looks like he's going into the right form and leading into this race. So here's my Gulfstream Park Daily Double race 12, race 13. Singling the 1, going with a 1, 2, 3. Cost you $3. Vinny, we can win together with a little tax implications and sovereignty. So that'll be what we cheer for.
Yep.
1, 7, and 2, 6 for Vinny. That'll cost you $6. Stay tuned right now because after this, we're going to go over to New York and talk about the Gotham. And we're back again. We just ran through the Daily Double at Gulfstream Park for this weekend with the Fountain of Youth. Vinny, we're back. looking at Aqueduct as we look at the daily double reading into the Gotham Stakes. I'll be honest, Vinny, when the field first came out, I had to do a double take and go. I don't remember any of these horses, unfortunately. I try to
It's
keep
not a
up with all of them, but I had to rack my brain over who these horses were, and we'll get to that race in a second. First up is race number 7 on Saturday, the Busher Stakes for fillies 3-year-olds, going a mile on the dirt, a field of 9.
Yep.
I once again was running through, as I talked about in the last race with tax implications. I was running through some of the field here, and I got through the one Liam in the dust, and I kind of didn't have to go beyond that. One handicapping tool I use here, Vinny, is on the left side. This will highlight races in the past that have the same purse number or more. Okay, so I can really quickly fly through my past performances and see at least the purses, right? It doesn't necessarily
Yep.
mean that the class is the same, but I can just go through quick and look at this. So right off the bat, I see 3 highlighted races. Well, as I continue to go through the field, uh, there you go. I got 1 on the 6th, which was a grade 2 last time out, and that was it. So
Yep.
I saw 3 highlighted races right off the bat with Liam in the dust. This is the Brissett trained with Luis Juan Machado aboard, a horse that finished 3rd in the Demoiselle last time. But Vinny, I tried to do a show 2 weeks ago, and a horse that I was so excited to see run was Ballerina d'Oro, who this horse has run into last time, finishing 3rd. Ballerina d'Oro finished 2nd. But also Muhima and Immersive and Quick Kick and Quiet Side. You're seeing kind of the names and the PPs that make me think
Yep.
Liam in the Dust not only has the races that are highlighted, but has been going against some pretty strong fields. I put this horse on top here. How about yourself?
I did as well. I like how the speed figures. I mean, you can take out the Alcibiades. I forget what happened, but she had a ton of trouble that day in the Alcibiades. But you take that race out, and this horse has pretty much improved figures every single start. Um, like you said, I Ballerina de Oro. I believe she's on the undercard of the Fountain of Youth card.
Yeah.
I think she's in one of those fields, and I'm pretty sure she's going to be the favorite there. So yeah, I am excited to see this one come back. I think she looks very tough. I just like that she's been improving, with the exception of that one Alcibiades effort, which I think you can just draw a line through that Alcibiades for her. But you look at the other 4 races, and she keeps getting a little bit better. Not giant improvements, but improvements enough that I'm willing to take a shot on her.
Yeah, it kind of brings the experience to a field. They're going a mile. Some of the other horses, not all of them, but you got horses that are really lightly raced. So the competition, of course, there's questions. You decided to use 2 on your ticket. Who else did you go with?
I went all the way to the outside with Sharp Smile for Brad Cox. Kind of the exact same reason that I liked the Liam in the Dust. This horse just kind of slowly keeps improving. Like nothing amazing, but just kind of keeps getting a little bit better each time. I think the outside post position will help this one a little bit. In Manny and New York right now has just been on fire. So I forget how many wins he had earlier today, but he keeps winning. So kind of hard to rule that out. And Brad Cox in New York is still like well over 20%. It just kind of seemed like a logical horse here for a double, especially as you alluded to with the Gotham. It is a field of kind of a lot of unknowns. So
Take a shot where you can. The
yep.
other horse I used on my ticket was Volleyball Princess, the horse sired by Motown. Last out, is run at 6.5 and 7 furlongs. The first 2 races were at Parks, but came to Aqueduct on the stakes on February 1st, and really put that field away. Winning by 10 lengths is what stood out to me, but also the jockey lost the crop in the stretch there. So that was a hand ride. Uh, Winning by 10 lengths was a very impressive victory at 10-1. You're getting the price of 8-1 for trainer that I'm not 100% familiar with, but actually has some pretty positive stats there. 21% going 3rd off the layoff. And the jockey and Motown for second first route are both positive ROI and win percentages as well. So, the last speed figure in blue circled there means that it's the highest in the race. Obviously, I'm always cautious of that, especially for 3-year-olds, that they sometimes pop, and then can they repeat that, or you see a huge drop off, and sometimes they can get overbet by that figure, right? But
Yep.
this isn't a horse that I really want to get beat by, especially if this horse gets out on the lead like it did last time and just says goodbye to a field. So I will use the number 4 Volleyball Princess on my ticket. Was there concerns there for you, or you
Yeah,
think I'm
this was actually the last horse off my ticket. I saw this. Yeah, I liked the last race was great. The last work. I don't know how trustworthy the time is, but
Hmm,
58 and 5 is that's a series that's moving.
hmm.
Uh, yeah, I almost use this horse. I am hoping that there is some remnants of other speed here, that this horse doesn't get out on the easy lead. But this is easily one that I can, if I'm gonna lose to a horse, I feel like this is one that I could easily lose to, just because of how good that last race it was, and if she really does get out, if she can get out by herself, it's like I might be in trouble.
So let's move on to the race that we did talk about a little bit in the field of 10 for the Kentucky Derby points on the line at the Gotham Stakes for Saturday, March 1st. Like I said, I had to go through a little bit with a fine tooth comb to remember some of the horses that didn't jump right off the page at me like they might have in the Fountain of Youth. Sand Devil obviously comes in as a pretty legit threat at 9-5. A horse that won his 3 for 3, including a 12-length victory, 2 back, and a stakes victory last time out at Aqueduct, going 7 furlongs. Has a victory at the mile. They are going a mile here. Where did you end up?
Well, I ended up using Sand Devil. The last two races have just been very impressive. Rice, I feel like, doesn't usually throw a lot of horses on the Derby trail. So when she does, it's like, all right, they're probably not bad. Um, that was kind of the main reason. I also don't really love either Brad Cox runner here. I know the Sacrosanct, the 4 is going to take money. I have not. The horse is 4 for 4, but I have not been impressed by him. I think he's just beaten bad fields, and he's just slightly above average. So I would much rather take the short price on Sand Devil, which could bite me. Uh, and Flood Zone, I just don't think is great. So I thought Sand Devil just kind of fits here. The, that was more or less where I landed on.
Yeah, I mean, those last 2 speed figures that we look at Equibase here really stood out, right?
Hmm.
Even all 3 of them, 97, 106, 103, a horse that can get on the front end.
Yep.
I was just looking up as you mentioned, Linda, because I remember the horse she had last year was El Grande O,
Hmm.
who was the horse that she had entered and didn't perform that day. That was the day that Deterministic won the Gotham.
Yep.
Don't remember how well he's come back. He's had a couple
Who,
strong
deterministic?
El Grande O.
Oh, I don't. I honestly, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, Linda's just one of those ones that, like, every now and again she has a run, like she'll throw a runner in one of these races, in these Derby prep races. But like that's not usually who she trains for. The Derby ones, the owners that are like really pressing for the Derby. So when she does throw one on, like I think El Grande O finished like third last year. It wasn't like a bad run. Deterministic just looked great, if I remember correctly. But just like when she does throw them in, it's usually because she knows they're better than just running in like New York restricted races. So we'll see how good the horse is. But I mean, what won by, I liked how the battled last time out and still came out on top, and then the 12 length win the race before was just a dominant effort.
Absolutely. As we take a look through the field, I just couldn't, there's horses that are really lightly raced here, right?
Yeah,
Just
I
one and
used
two times, and a
yeah,
90, 95, a 90 on the 7, 70 on the 6, and I couldn't really come to agreement with any of these other ones on taking a shot. I landed chalky here, I'll admit it. I probably should just pick one, but I used Sacrosanct as well. The horse is 4 for 4.
Yeah.
Type of place where he's got a victory at Aqueduct, he's got a victory at the distance. It is Brad Cox, it is Manny Franco. Not going to get cute. I'll just use the 2 who I think are the best and try to get by that way.
Yeah, I tried to get cute. I used Sand Devil, then I went to the outside and I used the Chad Brown, the number 9 for Chad Brown. Garamond, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you pronounce it. Probably not. I'm probably pretty bad at that. I'm a sucker for the Juddmonte homebred horses, but the main thing is that like this horse, Damaged by Tappet, Sire's Uncle Mo. Like if there's one horse in here that I am confident can get 2 turns, well, not 2 turns, but like at least this
The distance.
the mile and an eighth. Oh, oh yeah, the Gotham's only 1 mile now. Yeah, but like I feel like this is a horse that's probably going to be on the Derby Trail, like at least for Chad, if he runs well here. I think eventually this horse ends up being a turf horse, though. The dam side I thought had a lot more turf than the sire, but we'll we'll see. I feel like this horse is definitely going to get the distance.
Vinny
So
and I will hold out hope for the daily double at Aqueduct. I'm going to go 1-4 with the 4-5. It'll only cost you $4. I screwed up on your price there, Vinny. Your ticket's only $4. I forgot to
oh,
change it. So
it's all right.
1959 for Vinny. So he gets a. Unless you want to toss in one more. Is there anyone more that you who was last on your
No,
ticket in the Gotham?
no.
Anybody, or
Oh, the
you're good?
Gotham. Oh, I probably would have taken a risk on like Flood Zone or something and left the other. That's kind of why I cut it down to 2. Was like I was like, oh, I'd have to use. I feel like I'd have to use both Coxes here, and I don't want to use both. So I'm just gonna use. I'm gonna cut both of them out and hope I'm right that neither is fantastic. Either way, I am not. Of the Derby preps this weekend, I feel like this is the one that will get talked about the least.
Yeah, you got obviously a nice contingent out in actually a pretty nice version of the San Felipe in San Renita, even though you get some nice Bafferts to pay attention to
Yeah.
out there. A horse like Rodriguez, who had a very similar move to Burnham Square his last time, which was something that Sean pointed out. So all good, all good. We decided to attack New York because
Yep.
it's our territory. So
Yep.
thanks for joining again in the hot seat here on Doubling Down. Thank you to everybody else for joining back in. We'll try to get back into a consistent flow here on Doubling Down as we lead up to Derby. He's Vinny. I'm Colin. Drop in the chat who you like for these 2 Doubling Downs. And until next time, good luck, everybody.